stream. Just a few seconds, it's working. Okay, so we're all set to go. So if Takia, you want to read our conflict statement.
Yes, I will. And good afternoon again to everybody. The conflict statement is as follows. Members of the committee are hereby advised of their duty under the State Government Ethics Act to avoid conflicts of interest and the appearance of conflict, and are instructed to refrain from participating in any matter coming before this committee with respect to which there is a conflict of interest or appearance of conflict. Does anybody have a conflict that they're aware of?
No.
Okay. No. Well, we can go ahead and get started, Nicole.
Okay, so this is the inquiry of Bradley. And we received a request from Mr. Bradley asking if he can use another lawyer's trade name in his keyword advertisement search or advertisement in internet search engine. So the first inquiry lays out the facts that lawyer A is setting up a keyword advertising campaign through an internet search engine, and he would like to select specific words or phrases that will trigger people from the public who are searching on the internet for lawyers to trigger lawyer A's advertisements and to bring them to lawyer A's website address. Lawyer B is also a lawyer in the same town, a competing lawyer, a competitor to lawyer A, and lawyer B, his firm has a unique trade name that is called, for example, Strike 3 Divorce Lawyers. So that's the name that is the example given in the proposed opinion. So the question is, lawyer A wants to use lawyer B's trade name, Strike 3 Divorce Lawyers, as a keyword to trigger lawyer A's advertisement, so that when the consumers put in something like Strike 3 Divorce, something like that, then it will bounce over to lawyer A's website versus lawyer B's website. And the question is, may lawyer do so under the rules of professional conduct? The answer is no. We have previously opined in 2010 Formal Ethics Opinion 14 that it is misconduct for a lawyer to engage in conduct involving dishonesty, fraud, deceit, or misrepresentation, and that dishonest conduct also includes or shows that a lack of fairness or straightforwardness, and the intentional purchase of lawyer B's trade name, in order to trigger activity on lawyer A's website is dishonest. It involves dishonesty, fraud, or misrepresentation. So the opinion provides that the answer is no. It also the opinion explains that allowing lawyer A to use lawyer B's trade name in his search engines would create confusion for the public, that the public might be searching specifically for lawyer B. And when they put in those search terms for lawyer B's trade name, they would find lawyer A, which is not the lawyer that they are looking for. So the opinion provides that such conduct or diverting from another lawyer's website is neither fair nor straightforward and is dishonest in violation of Rule 8.4C. So the opinion to number one, whether or not they can use a specific trade name, is prohibited. Inquiry number two, it's the same fact pattern, except that lawyer B's trade name is based on a geographic location. So the firm name is Durham Family Lawyers. And the question is, do the rules allow lawyer A to select a generic and geographically based phrase that also serves as a common search term if lawyer B has already registered that name as a trade name? And registered meaning that it's been registered with the clerk, with the register of deeds in the county in which the law firm is located. So lawyers no longer have to register a trade name with the state bar. We went away with that rule. So the opinion provides that it is permissible for lawyer A to use a geographic search term, even if that search term also happens to be lawyer B's registered trade name because a geographic location is not the same as a lawyer's name, whether it is the lawyer's surname or their trade name that does not include a geographic location. It is a trade name that is based, that serves as a reasonable common search term for consumer for legal services is what we have to be able to allow. So something like Durham Lawyers would bring up a search for a multitude of lawyers, and not just lawyer A, not just lawyer B, but it would give the consumers the opportunity to see a number of lawyers in Durham who do family law, and so that they can make informed decisions about what lawyer that they want to choose. So a trade name with a geographic location is not unique to any one particular lawyer, and it doesn't identify lawyer B in this scenario. It is a common search term, and therefore it is not dishonest for lawyer A to use a trade name or a search term that is based on a trade name that is a geographic location. It's not going to be dishonest under Rule 8.4. And then the opinion also reminds us that the rules of professional conduct are in place, and the State Bar has a statutory mandate to protect the public and not to protect lawyers. So it also discusses that we don't want to create a situation or create a rule or an opinion that would prohibit registering or using a geographic location as a search term engine, because then lawyers would then rush to register these geographic location names as a trade name, which would freeze out other lawyers in the area from being able to use that trade name. And then it would eliminate or minimize the pool of lawyers that would be available to consumers when they are searching for lawyers. We have to remember that our duty is to the public and not to lawyers. And so therefore, using a search engine term that is based on a geographic location, even if it means that it is another lawyer's trade name, is permissible. And that is the opinion. So I leave it to you all to discuss whether or not you think the opinion is right, if there are changes that need to be made to the opinion, and I'm happy to do all of that for you.
Well,
I just preliminarily am fascinated by the 3 strikes. I envision the wife standing on one side of the kitchen saying, "That's it. That's strike 3." I've heard that before, by the way. But I wasn't thrown out. I begged my way back in. I like it. I mean, for what it's worth, I thought it was very well constructed, and I thought it was a very good balance between ensuring that, obviously, in scenario number 1, that what that attorney is doing is shenanigans. But I think, and when you balanced that with opinion number 2, I think it did a very good job of keeping the public in mind and knowing that their options are greater when we don't allow anyone to try and capture words, whether geographical words or other generic words that are common parlance. So I found it. I found the opinion 1 and opinion 2 struck a very nice balance and came out definitely in favor of the public. I liked it.
Yeah, I agree. And I felt like it was thorough enough to answer any questions that would come up about it, about that issue. I mean, it just seems like the first opinion, the first situation, the other lawyers just trying to be petty, right? Yeah. Like you're just doing it just to mess with the lawyer B. And that's not what we're here to do. And so I thought it was a no-brainer, that it was a great opinion the way that it's written. But I know once we get, start talking about these things, other people may feel differently. But I mean, I thought it was great. So.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. My first reaction to reading this was that was the most odd name that I've ever heard. The third strike. That's creative, and I don't know.
That's all Brian's work.
Yeah, but beyond that, and we're a family law firm here too. When this came up, I just immediately Googled, my name to see. And what happens is we're Billick Rogers Family Law. And because it's such a generic name, we just end up with, you know, a lot of other searches coming up in front of us, which is okay. That was really never our goal. We picked the name just to advertise what we do. And so, but my first reaction is that opinion number 2, absolutely, it's a generic, clear to me, very, very, very solid. On opinion number 1, the only thing that you hear about concerns about is we're going to maybe get into the question of now what constitutes a unique trade name. You know, at some point, I mean, this one's pretty easy, you know, third strike, divorce lawyer. That's pretty straightforward, pretty simple. But at some point, it becomes a question of what is unique.
I think that's I agree. That's a very good point. And the way this hypothetical is written, it's clearer cut than I can imagine scenarios being. But I've been on a lot of committees over the last couple of years, and I know that if we start trying to drill down too deep into defining what is and what is not a generic word, I think, like my gut, Bill, was that it kind of just follows the general sense that certain language we know kind of has that aura of being a public word.
Right.
And my gut told me they'll just have to kind of figure it out on a case-by-case basis, and we'll leave it up to the state bar staff who are doing the prosecuting on these ones to determine that.
Well, I think what unique means in this opinion, or what we included it to mean, is that it's the trade name is unique in that it's chosen by a specific lawyer and there are specific words that they have used, but it doesn't include the lawyer's surname, because that would not make it a trade name, and it's not a geographic location. So it's any words that could be used that a lawyer might use for their trade name. So, I mean, it just might be divorce lawyers and a lawyer chooses that. I mean, that's a unique trade name because it doesn't include anything like general and generic, like a geographic location, like there's a difference in that. So I think that's what it means. But, you know, I mean, if we took out the word unique, would that be better for you, Bill? Or do you think that would make a difference, or you're still concerned?
How, you know, where do you draw, how do you sort of establish a line there that's clear? And, you know, a lawyer's name is sort of an obvious thing, right? You can't select Bill Rogers as a search term, or you shouldn't.
Right.
So that's easy and common sense. But when you get away from and beyond just the name toward a trade name, then it becomes a lot more of a fuzzy area to me. And the second thing too is that selecting a search term is like casting a net and fishing for hits, or for, you know, for people to find your website. It's not as if you're representing yourself to be that particular firm. So, you know, having said that, those are questions I had, but I agree with the opinion. I mean, I think that should not be permitted to do that. I'm just sort of grasping with, okay, where do we go after that with subsequent inquiries if something less clear cut comes up? So.
Well, for me, looking at it, I know the majority of law firms that I've heard or seen, they're usually names. And there may be some, you know, random ones, like, you know, I saw somewhere where someone was just like, they had their website was like Weed Lawyers or something like that, you know, like that. To me, that's what it seems like when you're saying something unique, like it's something that you're just not going to necessarily just come up with off the top of your head. That's, you know, that would apply to every other law firm, right? Like that's their trade name. That's something specific that they came up with, and you're using it because, I mean, you saw it specifically and said, hey, oh, that might get some traction. I'm gonna use it too. You know, so that's kind of how I viewed it. You know, I don't know if changing the word unique or replacing it with another word would make a difference, but I mean, I just kind of see it as those, you know, very specific things,
Yeah.
specific names.
Yeah, I think unique is actually a good word. I mean, I think that's the right word for it. It's just, you know, determining whether a particular example fits within that definition of unique is going to be maybe the challenge. But no, I mean, I get that. I think that's it makes the point very well. I mean, I understand it. As I said, when I read the opinion in response to the inquiry, I say, yeah, that's the right answer. That's the way it should be. You know.
Well, and certainly, you know, if the question comes up, if we got a grievance filed against a lawyer, then the grievance committee would be able to look at that and distinguish, you know, is this a unique name? Is it generic? Is it, you know, something, is this the lawyer being dishonest and using this name because it diverts from another lawyer's website? So I feel confident that the grievance committee could deal with it and know how to deal with it if it became an issue. And then as far as Suzanne, Brian, and me giving advice based on this opinion, once it's adopted, assuming it's adopted, then we would be able to listen to what the name is and then advise them accordingly. It's like, well, based on this opinion, you can or you cannot use that name.
It makes sense. Here's a question I've got, and this is about maybe the technology of it. How would we know if someone had selected that as a search term?
We would not know because
never.
we don't register trade names anymore. So the only way that we would find out about it is if a lawyer called me and asked, can I use this name? Or through the grievance process, which is also confidential. So it would not, you know, the ethics committee would not find out about it, but that's the only way that we would know if someone complained to us or if they asked a question or they did something.
We know, so how would a lawyer know? You know, if someone had selected my name as a search term, how would I ever know that?
You have to search your name and see what came up.
Yeah.
I need to do that.
I mean, it would just, you know, if you have people who watch your marketing, then they might find it. You know, some firms, they do have somebody on staff or even outside who like will periodically just look to see if I put in our firm's name or if I put in these search terms, what comes up, who comes up first, because, you know, that's what it's really all about. Lawyers want to be the first one to come up, especially if they've chosen that trade name or those terms for their trade name. They want to be the first one to pop up in an ad. But other than that, I mean, it would be on the lawyer to be looking to see, is anybody else using my trade name and what happens. And I've had a couple of instances where lawyers call me and say, you know, my firm name is very similar to another lawyer's firm name because they have the same last name, they have the same surname. And so the only difference was like one was like Davis Law, for example, and the other one was Davis Law Firm. But, you know, it's the surname. So there's nothing that we can do about that. I mean, we can't make one lawyer change the firm name because that's their last name. So, so it happens, but it's, you know, as long as it's not false or misleading, and as long as it's, you know, in compliance with whatever ethics opinion comes out of this subcommittee, then it would be permitted, but it would be on you. It would be on the lawyer to figure out whether or not somebody's using their trade name or has another trade name. And I guess you can check with the Register of Deeds because that's where the trade names have to be registered.
Okay.
So are you all in agreement that we should present this to the full committee for publication?
Yes.
I know that I am. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Anybody else have anything?
Well, the only thing I'd say, the only thing I'd add to Nicole was just that I think this might be my last question that I'm currently on. So if you got any committees with other queries out there, I volunteer.
We noted that, Jack.
Okay.
Oh,
We
yeah,
talked
they're
about it
like-
the last
Don't
meeting, so I
worry.
make sure they know it's like Jack is willing to serve. Let's
Don't
put it
worry,
to work.
you'll probably be on 10 subcommittees next time, so don't even worry about it.
Be careful what you ask for. Right, Takia?
Right. Okay, well, if we're
Okay.
all in agreement, and there's nothing else, we're good to go, right, Nicole?
Yes.
All
All right.
right.
So
was
I'll
great.
prepare
It
the
was great
subcommittee
seeing everyone.
reports and
Thanks.
see you all in
Thanks for the use of
October.
your cell phone, Jack.
No problem. No problem.
All right, everybody, take care.
Have a
All
great
right, take
day.
care.